The quickest and most profitable way to increase your sales is to look at your pricing. You could theoretically change your price overnight.
Welcome to Reclaim Your Voice, the podcast for business owners who are ready to be heard, speak on stages and podcasts, and to become genuinely known for what they do. I'm Savannah Madden, confidence and speaking coach for founder-led businesses, and I help you find your voice, own your expertise, and speak in a way that attracts the right clients and opens the right doors. Here we talk about finding your voice, building the confidence to share your message, and doing the real work that gets you recognised by the people you're meant to serve. If you've got something important to say and you want the world to actually hear it, you're in the right place. This is Reclaim Your Voice. Hello and welcome back to Reclaim Your Voice. Today I am so excited to be joined by an amazing guest who is a profit and cash flow strategist, and they specialise in increasing your profits and strengthening your cash. So Taylor Smith, welcome to Reclaim Your Voice.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
It's lovely to have you. So at the beginning of all episodes, I love to get straight to the sort of backstory and who you are. And so I'd love you to introduce yourself, as it were, in your own words, like who you are, what you do, who you serve, and maybe a little bit about your story to get to where you are right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So, hi, I am Taylor Smith and I am a profit and cash flow strategist. So I help female founders basically increase their profit and also strengthen their cash position from a numbers point of view. I'm also a chartered accountant and former CFO of very successful companies. And I bring all of my experience, all of my knowledge to the entrepreneurial space and help women essentially make more money, but also get that freedom that they were looking for when they started their business in the first place.
Thank you so much. And you say that you've been the CFO of big companies. I know you've got quite a corporate background. You obviously hold a serious qualification for being an accountant and everything. So what made you take the step from corporate to entrepreneurial space?
Yeah, so it was family. I wanted to start a family, and to just kind of give you a little bit of background of like how it all came about. So I grew up in a single parent household. My mum, absolute superhuman. Like, I've got so much love and respect for that woman. She raised 3 kids on her own, and she's incredible. But I learned very quickly that I was going to have to contribute towards the family household. So unfortunately, university wasn't an option for me. I had to get out into the workplace as soon as possible. So I remember actually having a conversation with one of my mum's friends, and I was like, what's something I can make loads of money but don't have to work for someone for the rest of my life? And she was working in gaming at the time in an office, and she was like, oh, you could be an accountant. And I was like, perfect, I'm going to be an accountant. That was literally the extent of the thought process and how that decision was made.
It was a really deep moment there, yeah.
So deep. I took real time to reflect and really weigh up my options, clearly. But that's what I did. So I went to college, got my A-levels, and I went straight into the world of work. Fresh out of college, young, female, black, going into accountancy, which was an interesting experience. However, I managed to find someone in the corporate world who was just willing to take a chance on me as a person. You know, I had no experience, but I had such a drive, and I knew I could accomplish great things. Just give me a chance. Show me what you need me to do, and no one will work harder than me. So that was kind of like my spirit, if you like. And so I started my corporate career as very junior. You couldn't get more bottom of the pile than the entry level that I went into. And I grafted my socks off for years in the corporate space, qualified as an ACCA chartered accountant, and I ended up in aviation, an amazing company, an amazing career. I was finance director of multiple of their companies, you know, private airline, an aircraft maintenance company, the brokerage, and it was incredible. I was exposed to so much, you know, strategy, like the conversations we were having in boardrooms, talking multi-millions, hundreds of millions of pounds. That's the kind of level that I was working at, and it was incredible. However, I got to the point where I wanted to start a family. And I knew that I couldn't do either motherhood justice or that role any justice by being in that position. So I thought, what can I do? What can I do? I want to be really present as a mum. That's what I've worked so hard for all my life. Like, I just wanted to be comfortable and have a lovely, happy family. And so I thought, I'm going to start my own accountancy firm. So that's what I did. I started my own accountancy firm, which still runs to today, but it was small. I don't really have much to do with it, and it's kept small on purpose. And I started the accountancy firm. The conversations that I was having were all centered around, okay, so how much tax do I have to pay and when do I have to pay it by? Which is just not the conversations that light me up. And it wasn't what I'd been doing for however many years in that corporate space. Things that light me up is, okay, we've got this business. What can we do to grow it? Let's try this. What are the numbers saying? Let's do this. What's the result? Oh my God, we've grown it by this. Those are the sorts of things. Those are the conversations with visionaries and all of that. That's what I love doing. And so, really cliche, I ended up stumbling across a webinar, which is kind of out of character. It was a really happy, clappy, webinar, which is not usually something that really I would stop and pay attention to. But I did, for whatever reason, and I watched, and in between the, oh my God, why am I watching this moments, there were some real key points that this person was delivering. And I thought, do you know what? I know exactly what I need to do. It's not the accountancy firm. I need to bring all of my experience, all of my knowledge to the entrepreneurial space. Like, I'm not your bookkeeper. I'm not your accountant. I am your strategist from a financial data point of view, and I can help you grow your business. Hands down. No questions. Like, I know that I can do that. And so I started my consultancy firm. So now I'm consulting with incredible female founders who have a vision, who have a business, who know that they want to grow, they want to make impact, but they shy away from the numbers. And I found in the reason why I work with women is because it's it wasn't that long ago that women couldn't open a bank account. So there's no wonder why there is this resistance with numbers, but it's something I'm so comfortable with and I can help use to your advantage and accelerate your growth. So that's kind of how I've come to where I am now, and that's what I do now.
It's just so valuable and so exciting to have somebody like you supporting female founders in this space, because one of the key things that I want to talk to you about today, Taylor, is the fact that many women, not all, or many people really struggle with either knowing the numbers in their business, maybe wanting to shy away from it because they're a little bit scared of it. Maybe they've got some sort of limiting beliefs or some sort of, maybe even a bit of trauma from their childhood around numbers, around, being around sort of mathematics in general, and perhaps have a complicated relationship with their numbers, shall we say. But obviously not everybody. I know there's loads of people out there that, like yourself probably, you think, yes, numbers, love it. But how do you develop a way of talking about money with your clients that really lands with people? Obviously, you've just referenced that you aren't looking at tax returns and stuff. We're looking more at financial growth and where you can make your profit. So how do you start to approach those conversations with your clients to make them see that the numbers aren't going to be a problem?
So I come from a place of simplicity. I like simple. I don't like jargon. I don't like massive spreadsheets filled with numbers. I like super simple and focusing on the key things that actually matter. And that's what I bring to my clients. You've got your Xero or you've got your QuickBooks, whatever your bookkeeping software is. That's not what we look at. I have a separate dashboard that brings all of this information together and keeps it so super simple, because it can be really overwhelming. Like you said, some people have experienced trauma. Some people just find it boring. Some people overwhelmed, all the things. And so I come from a place of, I like simple. I'm not going to boggle your mind with all of these percentages and all of this sort of stuff. I'm just going to stick with, these are the key things we need to focus on. You don't need to worry about all the stuff behind. This is what we need to focus on. So how do we focus and grow this? So I would say that's kind of the first step, making sure that my clients know that as well, this is a really safe space. You know, the numbers and the finances behind someone's business is really personal, and people can feel quite vulnerable opening up about the real landscape of their numbers, you know, especially if they're successful, because I do work with a lot of really successful women who have, you know, made tons of money in sales, but the structure behind the business financially sometimes needs some work. And it can be hard for the people that I work with to kind of not face up to it, but kind of take it head on and say, look, yes, I do this, but actually this is the full landscape of the picture. So something I really like to highlight to my clients at the very beginning, as this is a really safe space, no judgment here. I've already seen it, been it, done it. Like, you honestly, like, I want people to feel like I'm someone they can confide in, and everything is really, I'm really holding space for you to just offload everything that's going on. Like, you know, are you in debt, or, you know, are you making a loss actually, even though you're making this sales? Like, it's okay. And I want them to know that no one's expecting you to be a finance expert. You know, you've built a business. No one expects you to have all these amazing visions, create all these incredible things, create this impact for all these amazing people. But then also you have to be an accountant and you have to know all of this stuff as well. You know, no one expects that. So I'd like to remind the people that I work with that it's okay and you're a safe space, and I'm here to help and support. That's what I'm here to do.
What a relief. I bet everyone's going, oh gosh, thank goodness, you know, because you make a really good point there that you work with a lot of, you know, very successful people. And I imagine the more money you make or the more revenue you turn, the harder it is to seek help if you're not quite seeing the profit being really, you know, nice and high. And I think that a lot of people, even if they feel quite confident with numbers, I imagine people still feel very vulnerable sharing. I think I definitely would, sharing that with somebody else. So it's really important to feel like we're in a non-judgmental space. So I think there'll be a lot of people taking a massive sigh of relief going, yes, I think I might need this. And Taylor sounds like the person to go to, you know. So what sort of patterns do you notice with your clients? And do you see anything where we're looking at the financial side of running a business and confidence is taking a hit?
Yeah. So some common patterns that I see, not even necessarily ignoring the numbers completely. Quite often the women that I speak with, they know their sales number, and that's the focus, you know, like, oh yeah, I made this in sales this month, which is obviously really important. But that next step, that next level deeper, you know, understanding the profit, and not just the profit in total, but also the profit according to each service that you're offering, you know, which one is making you the most money, which one is making you the least money. Those kinds of things not enough time is being dedicated to those sorts of areas is a common one. And so even though the big sales number is a big sales number, the effort and the energy sometimes is taken up by offers or services that actually aren't making them the most amount of money, and actually they should be redirecting their energy and their focus. But because that time's not being spent in, not even so much investigating, but kind of doing that kind of analysis, that's something that often is kind of a bit of a shock to some of the people that I work with. Another common thing I see is spending, not keeping track on spending. Subscriptions. If anyone's listening to this thinking, oh, I'd love to like make more profit, a really quick, easy thing that you can do today, look at all of the subscriptions that you're paying for. Do you really need them all? You probably don't. Do you actually need them? Is there a different software that actually has all these different things? You're just not using it properly. Like that's another common thing. Like, it's underrated. Reviewing your spending is actually underrated. The amount of money you can actually save and profit you can put in your back pocket as a result of just going through and looking at actually what you're spending money on. These £10, £20, £50, whatever it is, £90, they all add up, and it can sometimes be saving you thousands, you know? So that's another thing that I would say is like a common thing, like not really reviewing spending and being surprised at actually how much is going out on subscriptions that actually aren't moving the needle for you.
Yeah,
So
maybe not utilizing properly If you've got a subscription but you're only using it once every 3 months, it's probably not worth it, is it?
Exactly, or just a one-off project or something. You get something because you're working on something, and yes, at the time it's really helpful, but then it's not so much money where you think, oh, I'm going to cancel that. It's not your 500s, whatever, but it's enough that actually over time it's just a waste. You could be investing that in something else that actually moves the needle or saves you time. So yeah, no, that's another common thing that I see quite a lot.
I imagine that you see incredible shifts in your clients once they start paying attention to their numbers and stop avoiding things and, are really engaged. And I imagine the results are fantastic in terms of financial. But do you see any other types of results that aren't actually to do with making more money, more sort of like things to do with building their confidence, the way they engage in their business, the way they produce offers and things like that?
Absolutely. Confidence is a massive one, which actually impacts the decisions that they make. I found that once the people that I work with, once they get a handle of the numbers and understand what's driving what and how it functions, and once they get that foresight as well, because another thing that I work with clients on is, okay, that's how well you did last month or last year, whatever it might look like. This is what this month looked like. What is happening in 3 months' time, 6 months' time? Like, what does that look like? Because you can be setting yourself up, aligning things, making decisions to get to that point quicker, easier, and you can have these things in your mind so it doesn't all of a sudden spring on you that, oh, all of a sudden you've doubled your client base, or all of a sudden all of your leads have dried up, So having that confidence in what's actually happening with the numbers in the business enables decisions to happen quicker, and they're more sure in themselves. Like, yes, I can absolutely take advantage of this amazing opportunity, speak on stage, whatever it might be. I can take advantage of this opportunity because I already know my business can afford it. I already know that next month, actually, I'm probably going to have a bit of extra surplus in my bank. So yes, I can make this decision now, So the confidence brings more certainty in the decision-making, which speeds up everything instead of, flip-flopping between decisions. Do I, don't I? I'm not sure, checking the bank balance again, not really sure. That is a big one. The confidence and the decisions that then come from that place of confidence is really, it's so lovely to see, because these people are incredible. They're amazing at what they do, the impact that they make. But when it comes to their own business, there's so much uncertainty about what direction to take it, whether they can do something or can't, or sometimes they take a punt, and actually if they had the information available about whether they could afford to or not, or what the outcome might look like, they may have deferred it, or they may have done it slightly differently. So it's giving them that, I don't want to say empowering them, because I believe that the power comes from them, it doesn't come from me, but that process helps them to feel more empowered and feel more confident. Does that make sense?
Definitely. And what I was going to say is, I was going to say empowered, because you are providing your knowledge and skills and helping your client develop those skills, which then creates the powerful feeling, right?
Yeah.
And also, I loved how you touched on when you have certainty, that helps with confidence, or vice versa. It works the same way. Having certainty enables you to be confident. Having confidence around what is then going on enables you to make decisions. It's just a great little loop to go through. The more people that know what's going on in their businesses, the more great offerings that they can provide. And also, I think there seems to be a little bit of correlation. Again, this is always nuance, isn't it? It's not everybody, but a lot of people who are very creative tend to maybe not always be paying attention to their numbers. And of course, not everybody, but, creating all these wonderful things, making sure we've got everything to back it up in the back end, as it were. But what I also love about things that you talk about is that there is a bit of a myth, I suppose, that I know you've talked about before, about making more money means that you need more clients. So can you unpack that for us a little bit more? what do you mean by that?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's such a huge focus on, I can get you more clients. I can get you more clients. You need more clients, which that may be the case. It may be that you're in a situation where you do actually need more clients. But the time it takes, depending on your business, obviously, you know, if you're completely digital, then digital products then maybe it's slightly different. But on the people that I work with, the time that it takes to attract, nurture, and convert a new client is the slowest and most expensive way to increase your sales, because you are taking time out of your diary. Maybe you're having strategy calls, discovery calls. Maybe you're having DM conversations back and forth, time and energy. Maybe you are using Facebook ads or something like that. So it's spending money to try and attract these people into your world. There are other ways that you can increase your turnover that are quicker and cheaper. So to touch on that, what do I mean? Well, I guess the quickest and most profitable way to increase your sales is to look at your pricing. You could theoretically, and I'm not saying you should, but I would urge you, everyone listening to this, if you haven't reviewed your prices, please do, because it's a common thing that, you know, we are undercharging. But you could theoretically change your price overnight. You could double your prices overnight. What impact would that have? Sales likely would go up. You could potentially lose clients. However, you have to look at the offset, because the revenue you generate from a smaller amount of clients might still be more money than what you were making trying to service 50 clients when actually you only need to service 25, but you're still making more money. So I'm not saying to do that, but I'm saying look at your pricing structure. That is the most powerful way to get a quicker increase in sales. The other thing that I think is really important, and actually probably not spoken about enough, is instead of focusing on new clients, focus on your current clients or your clients that you've previously had, because your next best client is likely someone that's already spent money with you. And the reason I say that is because they already know, like, and trust you. They've already had a good experience. You know, I imagine, well, the women I come into contact with are all women that want to give their clients the best results, the best experience, so they can just feel elevated and shout it from the rooftops. That's what we're driving for. So if that's the case, then you have this pool of people already connected to you that have already spent money with you. And I think I can't remember what the statistic was. Once someone spent money with you, is it something like 9 times more likely to spend more money with you or something? I can't remember what the statistic is, but
yeah, I've definitely heard something
have
similar.
you heard that? Yeah, it's something like that. So what does that look like in terms of your offer suite? So what it means is you need to think about your client journey and how your clients come through your world. So a client will come to you with a problem, you fix that problem. Amazing. But we all know that there will be another problem. We all know this. Because the people that invest in themselves, that come to you, and my clients that come to you, they're on that journey, right? That we all know, that lifelong journey where we're always striving for improvement, better health, better wealth, whatever it might look like. We are people that want to elevate in life. And that's not something that happens for 30 days in our whole life. You know, there will be something else that is the next problem that we want help with, and to grow and develop from that. So what I would ask of you is to look at your offer suite and how does that complement that reality? So if a client comes in, let's say I'm a coach and I do retreats, for example. So a client comes to my retreat because they want to feel zen and want to feel amazing about themselves. Okay, they come to my retreat. They leave the retreat. They might feel great for a month, 2 months, but then life starts lifing, as we all know. So what am I then doing to support them through that? Because I want them to feel that amazing, incredible, empowered feeling always. So what can I put in place for those clients that come on my retreat? What can I put in place to check in with them, to make sure that they then get that little top up that they need to keep remembering that they are this amazing, incredible person? And that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about your offer suite and selling to people you've already sold to, because you're already invested in them. They're already invested in you. How can you support them through that next journey? That is so much quicker and cheaper than trying to attract new clients.
It's a great piece of advice. Someone said to me the other day to re-engage your previous clients, and I thought that was a really good phrase. Do you ever come up against, I don't want to call it problems or issues, but scenarios where you're with a client and you're encouraging them to put their prices up because you can see the incredible value that they're giving?
Mhm.
Do you ever come across any blocks from your clients that feel really unable to increase their prices, or maybe have a limiting belief or some sort of confidence block as to why they don't feel comfortable doing it?
Yes, all the time. All the time. All the time. And I would love to get to a space where, like, us as humans, because I don't even know if it's necessarily just women. I just know that I work with women, so I experience it, but just understand just how incredible we are and price ourselves accordingly. But, one lady that I was working with in particular springs to mind, and her reason for not putting up prices was because, she was working in educational sector and, children are involved and all things, which I completely respect and understand. I'm a mother, I get it.
Yeah, I can really identify with that with my other
Yeah.
business as well. Yeah.
It's hard, right? You don't want to make the lives of parents, teachers, anyone any harder. So we kind of came up with a compromise, and it isn't something that you can't just flick a switch and say, yes, I'm going to charge more money, because there's so much, it goes so much deeper than that. But I will challenge my clients. Don't come to me if you want me to just say yes to you and, give you a cuddle, because I'm here to challenge you with love, with so much love.
Absolutely.
But I will challenge you. And I did challenge her. And as much as it was uncomfortable, we came to a happy compromise, and we restructured in a way that actually we ended up doing like a menu style pricing. So it was optional. So there were different packages for the same offer, depending on what it is you wanted included or didn't want included. And then the choice was the client's. So that was a middle ground that challenged her, also gave her the potential to earn more than what she was charging without it feeling so, not aligned whatsoever, completely didn't feel comfortable, in which case it would have been pointless anyway, because you have to come from a place where you believe in what you're offering. Yeah, and it was amazing. And she once she understood that her client base, actually, for them, it wasn't so much, a lot of them, some of them it was price sensitive, but actually it was more the experience that they were looking for. And once she understood that actually people do want to pay a premium if they're going to get a premium service, there are people out there that want that. And that's when it kind of got more comfortable. And yeah, it was lovely to see that. It was challenging at first, but to see that growth in her, and now she's going on to do even more incredible things. The things that she's, rooms she's speaking in at the moment, with the people that she's speaking to. We had a voice note chat the other day, and I was like, she was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I was like, I'm so glad you finally see what I see. She was like, I get it. So it's a process. It's an absolute process. But in the short answer to your question, yes, I absolutely do come up against blocks, and I will challenge them, and I will help come to a compromise, but I will only go as far as the client feels, because there's no point pushing someone so far out of their comfort zone that it just does not feel right at all, because at the end of the day, they need to feel happy as well. I'm not here to, make people miserable. I want them to feel amazing and incredible. So yes, it's a common thing, definitely.
I think, though, having someone to talk to who's an expert about where you should be pricing, potentially, as you mentioned, mixing up the offer suite so that it was a different package, and offering more premium things to go with the premium pricing to add things in. There's just something quite logical about all of that, especially from where I'm sitting, how that just makes more sense.
Mm-hmm.
And just having somebody to kind of bounce those ideas between, and as you say, with kindness, challenge that person, because otherwise what are you paying an expert for if they're just going to go along with you and be like, okay, yeah, no, don't put your prices up, because for this particular client you're talking about, it was obviously the best decision for them. And I was going to ask you about what sort of transformations do you see with your clients when they overcome certain blocks and get more engaged in their finances. But I feel like you've kind of already answered that with that client. Sounds like they're going from strength to strength now. But have you got any other maybe another example with a slightly different journey to that transformation?
Yeah. I had a client who ended up doubling the size of her business
It's
in
amazing.
1 year, it was incredible. She was someone who came to me because she had that question, I need more clients, but I don't have any more time in the
Of
day
course.
to do
Yeah.
it. Like, what do I actually do? And that was why she came to me. She wanted to make more money. She wanted to do all of that. And there were different things that we worked through. Some of it was pricing. Some of it was the structure of her offer suite. Some of it was who she was targeting as well and what that might look like. But it was all driven from the data and the financials. And I think the moment that it hit what was driving what and what could happen, the potential that she could scale to once we made these few tweaks, that's when she was like, oh my gosh, okay, I get it. And it's almost like that is for her what helped her overcome the fear of all the challenges, the other things that I was trying to make her do. But once she could see, and I was like, do you see how, like, do you feel this is actionable for you? Is this doable? Just, this is all we need to do. This is all the clients we need to speak to. Once she saw it and she saw the numbers and she saw how it could work and how she had the time to deliver that, she ended up doubling her business in a year. It was incredible. Like, loved it. Yeah.
So
So
amazing.
seeing those kinds of transformations for them in their businesses, that it gives me so much joy because I am someone who loves to see something come to fruition. But seeing the development of the business owner and seeing that confidence and that beaming light that they get once they understand that I'm actually doing it. Like, you have that vision board and you're like, these are my targets. And when you see it actually happening and you see that confidence and that empowered woman, like, oh, that for me is just the best feeling in the world. I love it.
So awesome.
Yeah.
And this leads me really nicely onto another question that I want to ask you is that on this podcast, we talk a lot about your voice in business and showing up and speaking up, being heard, how you may want to reclaim it back if you feel like you may have lost it in some way. So
Mm.
in your world, how does a person finding their voice with their finances and connect to sort of that bigger picture, how does that look for them?
So the people that I work with, when it comes to the finances in their business, it's almost like quite often the most common is it's like almost like shut off, almost not a secret. That's kind of like, I don't want it to seem like a seedy way of saying it, but it's almost kind of like, oh, I'm not good at numbers and there's nothing more to be said about it. And in talking about it, I believe it helps them feel less, I don't even want to say ashamed because that's the wrong word. But when
Vulnerable. I think we
less
sort of talked
vulnerable,
about it being a bit of a vulnerability at the beginning, didn't we? And I was like, I can totally identify with that. Even sharing my accounts with my accountant
Mm.
every month or every quarter or whatever, I'm always a bit like, oh, but even though there's nothing to worry about, I still have some sort of, blocks to work through. So I think vulnerability maybe is a
That's the
really good
perfect word.
word to
That is the
sum it
perfect
up.
word. Exactly. And by talking to someone about it and really openly, because I'm there to see it all, to support. It's hard at first, but just having that conversation and having someone to confide in that knows the real scope of what's going on. Because some of the people that I speak to, like, sometimes their partners aren't even in the full know of everything that's going on. So having someone that is so invested in them and there to support and to help them through it, I think it allows them to be able to speak up more confidently about it. Like, yeah, do you know what? I don't have a handle on this. And it's okay. I'm not expected to be this. Like, yes, I do run a successful business, but I'm not expected to be the expert in this area as well. And I find that having these conversations and knowing that someone like me there to support them through this and offload, sometimes it's offloading, soundboarding, coming up with different ideas. I do genuinely believe that helps them not hold back or feel as vulnerable moving forward when it comes to the finances.
Definitely. And do you know what I was just thinking there? It's like a little light bulb moment. I think entrepreneurs give themselves such a hard time because what business out there that employs multiple people, which CEO, founder, business owner, whatever you want to call the person that's in charge or the person that created the business, who's doing the finances as well? Like, there are so many companies out there that have got an HR department, a finance department, a wellbeing department, a this, that, and the other. And as entrepreneurs who are usually working either solo or in a very small team, we put all that pressure on ourselves to do everything when, as you say, you're not expected to be amazing at every single element of your business. And the whole point is that you're supposed to focus on the bit that you're really good at. And I think it's so important to outsource, bring in more people into your business, whether that's on a permanent or on a, freelance sort of flexible basis or a one-off or whatever it is, to come and support you to do those things that you aren't so strong at, because we can't, as you say, we just can't be expected to do it all.
Exactly. And I can't agree with you more. Honestly, we give ourselves such a hard time. All of the most successful companies in the world have experts in different areas. Every board meeting I've ever been to, there is always the CEO, whatever. Then there's always the marketing person, the finance person, and the salesperson.
Yeah.
Always. That is a given. And what I see in the entrepreneurial space, there's focus on marketing, there's focus on sales, but it's almost like they believe they're expected to know the finances themselves. And what I think doesn't help is, quite often they have accountants, which is brilliant. I love the fact that you have an accountant, but accountants aren't invested in, some are. This is a really sweeping statement. Some are. If you get a good one, I'm so happy for you, because they do want to do a really good job. I believe that accountants want to do a really good job, but it is very much tick box exercise. If you've hired them to do your tax return, they will do your tax return.
That's what you've hired them for, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. And that's very different to talking about the financial growth of your business. It's a completely different conversation. So that part of the finances, the entrepreneur takes on their shoulders. They're carrying that weight on their own, thinking, I've got an accountant already. But that's not what they're there to do. They're not there to grow your business for you. They're there to do the tax return and file the accounts for you. And they'll do that very, very well. This is a different part of your business, the same way that your marketing is a different part of your business. And maybe even, you might sell, but you might have, someone who helps you with selling. It's a different ball game.
Yeah, it's such a powerful differentiation, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Like you said just a minute ago, entrepreneurs give themselves a really hard time thinking that they have to be the one to not only have the vision, create the vision, operate the vision, but then also understand the finances to take the vision forwards. And it's just, you don't have to do that. Get an expert in or someone to support you. If you like doing it, great. Get someone to support you to do it, because it can supercharge the growth of your business. It can make everything so much easier as well, but yeah.
And that's what we want. That's what we want.
No, I'm all about an easy life. I'm all about an easy life. Anything that makes
you said at the beginning, you like things to be simple. I love that. Keep it simple.
Yeah.
And what is it? Simplicity scales, complexity fails. That was a good phrase that someone said to me a little while ago. And I was like, that is a good one.
I like that a lot. That's a good one.
And so earlier on, you did give us an incredible little nugget of something we could go and do now, which was looking at our subscriptions. But I'm going to be really cheeky and ask for all the founders here listening who think they might be leaking profit in their business and aren't quite sure where to start. Have you got one other little tip for us that we could implement straight away?
Yeah, absolutely. So the other place that would have the biggest, aside from looking at your pricing, that aside, I would look at something else that you can look at quite relatively well. You should be able to, hopefully, I say should, hopefully should be able to get this quite quickly, is understand of all of the services and all the offers that you make, which one is the most profitable. Because, and when I say profitable, I'm talking about the costs incurred. You've got your sales price of an offer, and what are the costs as a result of offering that service? Any, financial costs. So maybe you hire a coach or whatever it might be, but also your time. How much time and energy are you spending in each of your services? And make sure you take that into account, because what I see quite common in the entrepreneurial space is focus is being put on the offers that maybe the person enjoys the most. Maybe they enjoy that part the most, and maybe they get the most fulfillment out of that part the most, which is great. But if you are looking at, you wanting to be more profitable and therefore grow and get more cash in your bank, then understand which one's making you the most money. If you then still choose to, put your effort in that service, fine, that's up to you. But at least have the knowledge and understanding that it's not the one that's making you the most money. I think that's going to be something that can really create a powerful shift in businesses. And that's something that you can absolutely do and work out when you look at the numbers in your business.
Incredible advice. Thank you so much. I think we're going to start to wrap it up there now, Taylor. What a great piece of advice to leave us with. So for anyone listening that is not already connected to you, where are you usually hanging out? Where can we come and find you and connect with you?
Yeah, so my most common platform is Instagram. So my handle is at Taylor Smith and Co. So all one word. And yeah, feel free to DM, message. I'm always up for a virtual coffee. I love connecting with people. So yeah, reach out and let's have a chat.
That is amazing. And I will link that all up in the show notes and we can connect with you. So thank you so much for your time today, Taylor. I think so many people will get a lot from this episode. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much for being here and for listening to this episode of Reclaim Your Voice. If today's conversation resonated, head to the show notes where you'll find my free audio gifts. And if this episode helped you in any way, it would mean so much if you shared it, rated or reviewed the show. That support helps these conversations reach the people who really need them. You can also watch the full episode over on our YouTube channel, and we'll see you in the next one.